He that does not understand history. I'm JR, and this is the final countdown. Today I'm going to discuss the Democratic Party. And I want to look at their history, because you can't really understand what the Democratic Party is about today without looking at where they came from and really the principles that drive the party. Some people say, well, Democrats don't have any principles. They go for it. That's not true. They do have some principles. I'm going to share them with you. At the root of the Democratic Party are the four S's, and this is what they stand for: slavery, secession, segregation, and socialism. That describes their entire history of their party. So let's start the discussion from the very beginning. The Democratic Party was the party that threatened the Republican Party and threatened to leave the Union if they nominated and ran an anti-slavery candidate. There were many in this new party called the Republican Party that wanted to end slavery. That's not a secret. And the Democrats were adamant that they were going to be the party of slavery. They were the party of slavery. Still are. And we'll get to that in a minute. So the Republicans nominated Abraham Lincoln. We know the story, because they felt that was safe. He was non-threatening. He took sort of he didn't care one way about slavery. If it went away, he was okay. If it stayed, he was okay. It was limited to certain states, he was okay. He didn't care one way or the other. Not at that time. And of course, even with the nomination and election of Abraham Lincoln, a Republican who was not anti-slavery, well, we already know that the southern states still left the Union. And they left the Union because they didn't want to be blocked in. They figured as the country would continue to grow, and as new states were added that were non-slave states, eventually they would get outvoted in Congress. Eventually slavery would come to an end. And before they would let that happen, they decided they were going to be proactive. They were going to strike first. Well, it didn't work out. They lost. Lincoln ended slavery. And, people think, well, okay, that's where the story ends. But it doesn't. The Democratic Party is the party of slavery. They've always been the party of slavery. Nothing has changed. They were the party of secession. That didn't work out for them. Slavery ended. And they've revamped and found a way to re-enslave people. Except they don't need your vote. They don't need your labor anymore. They need your vote. That's the new plantation, is the vote. They harvest that vote every 2 years. They do everything they can to strike up slavery talk and how Republicans and the Tea Party want to keep you down. That's interesting. Allen West got into a great deal of trouble by saying there were many black people who were brainwashed. But ask yourself, how exactly do you get millions of people to hate a political party that hasn't done anything to them? In fact, let's look at history and see what the Republican Party has done for you. They were the anti-slavery party. They fought to keep the Union together, ended slavery. They passed the first civil rights and voting rights laws in the 1800s. They did everything they could to get black people engaged during Reconstruction. Only have much of their work to be undone when Democrats took over the government in 1892. They passed amendments to the Constitution, which is very difficult. And it's not an easy process to amend the Constitution. And the 13th Amendment which basically ended slavery officially and made blacks citizens, got 0 votes from Democrats. Not one Democrat voted for it. And then Democrats went on to create Jim Crow, the Black Codes, separate but equal. When you look at the sins of America, they're all done by Democrats to black people. Who do Republicans have in their camp? Well, they had the abolitionists. They had the women's suffrage folks. They had, churches such as, Quakers initially and Presbyterians and, who were all, for getting rid of slavery and oppression wherever they could find it. And people say, well, you know what, that was back then. But now, all the racist Democrats left and when Nixon came to power. That was part of the Southern strategy. I've heard educated black people with college degrees tell me this nonsense. And here's the sad truth. I mean, really sad. It's that it's not like the information is hidden from anybody. We have buildings paid for by public money where they actually keep books and information, access to the internet, called a library. Imagine that. A free society with open access to information, and yet millions of people are somehow convinced that the party that's fought for their freedom, laid blood for their freedom, fought against discrimination, did everything possible to ensure their freedom and participation in this country we call the United States of America, that somehow that party is your enemy. And that party, we call the Republican Party, has yet to do anything, I mean, not one thing I can find against black people. Democrats, on the other hand, their hands are very dirty. Very dirty. But somehow the Democrats sort of turned things around during the 60s. Now, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he's a learned person, college degree. So I asked him one day, I said, well, he's like, well, that you Republicans did all that stuff, back then. You didn't do anything. From 1960 on, you did nothing. I said, well, how did the Civil Rights Act of 1960 get passed? He said, well, that was done by Democrats. I said, no, that was actually signed into law by Eisenhower. And all of those things that Truman talked about, integrating the military and civil rights, it took a Republican to actually do it and put meat behind it, put actions to the words. But somehow we give Truman more credit than we give Eisenhower. Truman talked about it, Eisenhower actually did it. And then even the later Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act, 68, took Republicans to get behind it because you had Democrats like Robert KKK Byrd, who Bill Clinton praised, said, hey, he had to join the Klan because that's just what people did in West Virginia. That's the only way he could get elected. How could anybody justify being in the Klan? But you know what? For a party that founded the Klan, supported the Klan, and used the Klan as their military wing, I understand that now. Democrats really don't have a problem with the KKK. And you know what? If you look at history, here's an interesting thing: I'm sort of a history buff, and periodically I'll go back and I'll try to read and research on that era. Here's the interesting thing I found recently, was that I thought the KKK just went around attacking black people at will. Just they saw you and you're in the wrong place and you just happened to cross their path, you were in trouble. And how they would grab blacks and tie them to trees and beat them. But here's the interesting thing about that process is that they didn't attack every black person they saw. A lot of times they were attacking black people for a broken promise, believe it or not. Because here's what they would do. They would capture you, come to your house. They would tell you, listen, we do not want you voting for Republicans. If we catch you voting for Republicans, you're going to be in trouble. And that is exactly what they did. They caught you voting for Republicans, you were in trouble. They would, they found out you voted for Republican, they beat you, they would hang you. They do all kind of crazy stuff to you, kill you, mutilate your body. That is not that undifferent, that is not that different from what we see today. We have the new KKK, the Urban League, the NAACP, black organizations, black ministers supposedly who have the people's ear, comedians and actors, black publications, black news people, attacking black conservatives or black people who support the Republican Party. Of course, these people today aren't hanging black conservatives or black Republicans. There's no flogging taking place. You're not being, tied to a tree and beaten to inches of your life. But black organizations, black people, are programmed to attack black Republicans. If you're a black person and you support the Republican Party, you're going to get attacked. You're going to get called names like Uncle Tom, sellout, porch nigger, house nigger. You just want to be white. You want to be uppity. And it's very difficult to even have dialogue with black liberals because many of them are just so silly and ridiculous. They have no facts on their side for the stuff they say. I go to functions. People know that I'm a black conservative Republican. That's even worse than just being a black Republican. And then they come to me. I don't seek them out. They say, oh, that Jimmy Stewart, he's just a Republican. He's just saying these things because he wants to be controversial. He wants to stir things up. Not really, no. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. I choose my words carefully. So this person comes to me, says, how can you be a black Republican? How do you excuse what the Tea Party does? I said, I'm a supporter of the Tea Party. I've attended their functions. I've gone to some of their rallies. Well, the Tea Party is racist. I said, well, how do you know this? Have you been around any people that's in the Tea Party? No. I wouldn't dare, support that racist organization. Well, what makes them racist? Because the crazies on MSNBC tell you that they're racist? Or CNN? No, I've seen the pictures. I've seen the signs. I said, well, here's what they don't tell you about the pictures. The Tea Party plans an event, and you have people come in with their signs. They don't wave them right away. They stage in a spot, then they pull out the signs, and then everyone takes pictures of them. And as the organizers of the event figure out what's going on, what the signs say, they police themselves and they send people in to ask those people to leave. But you don't get that piece of it. All you get is, oh, here's a Tea Party event, thousands of people, and look at them, they're waving that sign saying Barack's a house monkey. Get that nigger out of the office. Black people ain't shit. You get all kind of crazy signs that they come up with. None of them were written by Tea Party members. None of them. Because the Tea Party are going to their functions, participate in their events. Now, once I've been to a Tea Party event that dealt with race, sadly, because I think it's something we should talk about. The Tea Party basically stands for financial stability. Smaller government, get the government to live within its means and do sensible things. Not take away people's entitlements, but provide for the people in a way where you can afford to do it. Not put the country in bankruptcy to do it. Not borrowing against the future and making our kids and grandkids pay for it. That's what the Tea Party is about. They're not about taking anything away from you. They're not about holding you back. The Republican Party isn't about holding you back. The Republican Party is, today people say, well, what are they doing for us now? I heard Cornel West and Tavis Smiley give an interview. And I call them the idiot savants, because they're very smart men, genius. I'm not going to doubt that. I like Tavis Smiley. I respect some of the things that Cornel West has said. Very, very smart men. But when it comes to the Democratic Party, they're idiots. They're just outright idiots, because I know they know better. But they speak so passionately about it, it kind of makes me believe that maybe they don't. Maybe they're just ignorant of the truth. Who knows? But they have the ability to go find it. It's not like they can't figure out what the truth is. So during the interview, as the person who was interviewing him was pointing out to him, that the Republican Party is, the Democratic Party has done this against black people, pretty much enslaved you, started giving you handouts, got you addicted to entitlements. A little handout here, a little handout. I'm going to give you an example of how this addiction works. You all know it. I could use drugs. How the drug dealer gives you a few samples to get you hooked. And then after that, you have to come back and start paying for it. But, I think a liberal is this way. A liberal person invites you to their house. And they leave a few dollars around the house. And then they purposely turn their back and look the other way. You scrape up the dollars, they come back in, you guys have an enjoyable night, and they keep inviting you back every month to do the same thing. Now the liberal would say, oh, well, they're just helping the person out without embarrassing them by giving them a handout. Nothing wrong, they look the other way. They want you to have the money, that. So, you pick it up and take it. No big deal. Reality is, it is a big deal, because they're turning you into a thief. You're stealing. And that liberal may be okay with you stealing from his or her home, but you may go to someone else's home and think that this is a common practice. And that's the same way I look at entitlements. They start out by giving you a little handout here and a little handout there. And before long, it's not long, 1 generation, 2 generations, now we're 3 and 4 generations into the war on poverty. Trillions of dollars spent, we have more poverty than ever before. And what they've successfully done is turn you into a person that feels like you're entitled to entitlements. That somehow you can't live without them. They tell you silly things like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Even though every study has shown that we look at people's lives from a 10-year period, and you break them up into sections of 20 percentiles, that if you look at the people at the very bottom, the very poorest among us, that within 10 years, that 80% of those people will have moved up into the upper class, middle class. 20% of those people from the bottom will be in the upper class. So it shows that you have upward mobility in America. So that should be encouraging. You should be able to tell someone who's down, say, look, you know what, there's a good chance that in 10 years from now, you're not going to be poor. If you apply yourself, work hard, do some things. Now is not the time to give up. Now is not the time to drop out of school. Now is the time to move forward, because you should have some hope. And even though liberal Democrats understand this, they still spread the message of divisiveness. Oh, you can't get ahead. Oh, those conservatives, those rich people, Republicans don't want you to get ahead. This is, you have no chance, because they're not paying their fair share and they won't give you a job, and it's all their fault. It's not yours. And so the 20% that stays at about 20% of the 20% that just will still be there in 10 years. They're not going to move, because they're totally giving up. But this is what that party, the Democrats, which I call the Demokkkrats, but this is the message that they bring to those at the bottom. So back to Tavis Smiley and Cornel West. They're giving an interview. And the person interviewing them is pointing out all of these things the Democratic Party has done to black people. Almost now created a plantation-style politics. Every 2 years they want to come back. They want to get you upset over race because they don't have anything else to talk about. They're going to talk about these great schools your kids go to. Can't talk about that. And Democrats run the schools. Talk about all the jobs they created for you? Nope, not talking about that, Jack. About how great your neighborhood is, the communities in the inner city are? Nope, not talking about that. Urban decay. They don't talk about anything that they control. So here's what they talk about. They come around, they say crazy stuff like those Republicans, just want to burn down churches, and and they'll have like the KKK burning a cross on a commercial with a Republican. It's like, wow, man, that's amazing. They have the gall to do something like that. I was watching MSNBC with the crazies, and they had former Chairman Steele on there. He used to be chairman of the Republican Party. And during the discussion, someone mentioned how the Republicans are okay with slavery. And then Steele was like, whoa, don't talk about that. You don't want to bring that up, because I know about slavery and which party supported slavery, so you don't want to go there. And the person said, okay, well, you're right. I apologize. I take that back. Now, one of my good friends who I think means well, he looked at that segment. He said, yeah, that person was getting ready to expose the Republican Party for their connections to slavery. And Steele shut him up. He said, no, you know what? Here's what was really going on. Is that, and Steele, this is where I fault Republicans for not speaking up. You never hear Republicans talk about the Democrats and slavery. Very few of them. There are a few like me that are bold enough to bring it up, but generally white Republicans don't do it. And they should. It's okay for them to say the Democrats were the party of slavery, of secession, of segregation, and now socialism. The Democrats were the party of Jim Crow, the black codes, separate but equal. All the sins of America, for the most part, that were committed against black people were done by Democrats. There was who was the governor of Arkansas? I can't remember his name. Fabus. It's going to come to me. And we all know the story. The little kids in Little Rock, Arkansas, integrating the schools, court ordered. And the president, Eisenhower, had to send in the 82nd Airborne, an elite military commando group, to deal with the problem. Because the racist Democrat governor decided, I know that, separate but equal now has been banned, has been outlawed. Still, I'm not integrating the schools. If you research me correctly, it was a Mississippi governor who decided that University of Mississippi wasn't going to be integrated either. It was going to stay segregated. He said, you'd have to, kill me before it happened. I'm fighting this to the end. Democrats. But when Cornel West and Tavis Smiley were confronted with this, they had the nerve to say, well, what have the Republicans done for us? You can talk about what the Democrats have did to us, but what have the Republicans done for us? What are they doing for us? I think it was Republicans who have attempted to clean the schools up, make them better. Try to introduce voucher systems so poor parents can send their kids to a good school, give them a quality education. The voucher program is shown, though, to work. They've done trial after trial, and every time they've done it, the results are the same. Bad school, good school. Once you make the transition, better education. So why shouldn't poor people have the same opportunity to send their kids to a private school or a better school if given a chance. President Obama, the quote-unquote black president, he loved Obama loved black people. The very first thing he does when he gets in the office is shut down a voucher program started by Republicans to give inner city kids in D.C. a chance to go to private school. Same school he sent his kids to for a quality education. Well, and in the end, he said, well, you know what, we'll do this. We won't add any more kids to the program, and whatever kids are still in the program, once they graduate, then we'll shut the program down. A program with proven results. He even said, well, I'm going to have my education secretary take a look at it and see what the track record is, and and if it's working, then we can keep it. Well, all the studies showed it was working, but he still shut it down. This is the black president who loved black people. And then if you look at other examples, Detroit in bankruptcy, being taken over by the state, 85% black, run into the ground. But yeah, you can't criticize a black person for what they've done. Can't talk about the failure of Barack Obama, the fact that he hadn't done anything for black people who voted for him twice. Overwhelming numbers put him in office. Then get in office, he turns his back on, well, I can't just be the president for black people, I got to be the president for everybody. But when it comes to the teachers union, you can be their president. You can do everything you can to fight to support the teachers union. What about the other unions, labor unions? When you're the president fighting for car check for the labor union, so you can be their president, you can do something just for them. Then on the issue of immigration, even though you lied to the Hispanics, you told them that in your first term, you're going to get comprehensive immigration reform done. You didn't even think about it. But yet, that's something that's important to the Hispanic group, but you're not concerned about anyone accusing you of being the president just for the Hispanics because you're catering to their needs. And what about the feminist group? You fought to get them free birth control. Last time I checked, I've spoken to lots of different women on both sides of this issue. And I don't care how you feel about it one way or the other. But I've always been curious as to how many women out there that couldn't afford birth control. When Walmart is offering $4 prescription and CVS and Walgreens, $4 to $10. And then even if you went to Planned Parenthood and got the top of the line, non-generic stuff, you're talking maybe $40 a month. Somehow I haven't encountered any women who said, you know what, boy, it really came down to either buying food, feeding my kids, or buying birth control. I just couldn't do both. So we need the federal government to step in and provide us free birth control, because I just can't make it if I have to buy my own birth control. And somehow this phony baloney warned women. The Democrats and liberals are very good. Very good. The machinery works. Black people are a testament to how well the brainwashing works. So Allen West was correct. Many black people have been brainwashed. You've been told to hate a party, told that this party hates you, and nothing be further from the truth. So back to Tavis Smiley. I keep going on these tangents. You guys have to reel me in. Back to Tavis Smiley and Cornel West, my idiot savants. So they can really answer to the crimes of the Democratic Party, crimes that the Democratic Party has never apologized for, don't even want to acknowledge. In fact, have brainwashed people into believing just the opposite, that all their sins were the sins of the Republican Party. People believe that Jim Crow and separate but equal and the black codes were put in place by Republicans. That the Democrats were the party for women's suffrage and the party of freedom and the party that freed the slaves. I've educated people, black folks who go into black universities who believe this nonsense. Now, surely at a black university they'll teach you the truth about slavery at least. No sirree, Bob, that doesn't happen. Because the educational system is filled with liberals. And they understand what their job is. It's to miseducate. So the idiot savants asked the commentator, well, what has the Republican Party done for black people? And we can't really speak to the sense of the Democratic Party. We don't want to talk about that. We know better. We know our job, boss. And we need to talk about the sense of the Democratic Party. Our job is to attack the Republican Party, make them seem like the bad guy. So that's what we're going to do. What has the Republican Party done for us lately? Like I said, outside of trying to reform education so your kids can get a better education, which every effort is always struck down and resisted by Democrats. Economic activity in your community to uplift and create jobs, fought against by Democrats. Every effort that of Republicans is always labeled as racist, and because the Democrat way is to find the people who run the communities and the cities and make sure they pass money to the overseers. And the overseers have to keep the people in line. The Republican Party actually wants to empower people to do for themselves, to be responsible for themselves, take control of your house, of your community, take control of your situation and do something about it. That's what the Republican Party wants to do. They want you to be a free person. Freedom means responsibility. But many people don't want to be responsible. You start talking about responsibility, oh, well, Jimmy, that's just code word for slavery. Really? So slaves were responsible? What were they responsible for? It seemed like this system of taking away responsibility is actually a code word for slavery, but maybe I have it wrong. So this is when you look at the history of this party and the fact of all the things they've done to black people as a group, collectively, and somehow still convince black people that the party that has done nothing to them but try to help them is their enemy. That has to be brainwashing. If there's another example, another reason for this, I have people I've spoken to, I've tried to get to the bottom of it. Oh, those Republicans are just racist. I'm like, yeah, really? Give me an example, maybe. Show me where they've been racist. I have to check with MSNBC. I don't have anything off the top of my head, boss. I'll get back with you. Yeah. And I can tell you right now, none of these people have ever gotten back with me. Because they can't really defend the indefensible. You can't defend that party. And with you guys on the countdown here, the final countdown, I mention them by name, but very rarely do I do that. I normally just refer to them as that party or the Demokkkrats party. So I don't even feel that they are worthy of my respect by calling it the Democratic Party. I feel okay with calling them out of name and out of character, because that's who they are. That's exactly who they are. They have not given up on slavery. They've just found a new way to shape it, to find it. It works better for them now than ever before. And I've done a lot of research to try to figure out, how they were able to do this, and see if there was a master plan behind it. And no, and the reality is there wasn't. They just stumbled upon it. Johnson stumbled upon it. He truly had some desire to do something about poverty. So this was documented early in his life. And in the war on poverty, two things were driving that. One is that he did have a desire to do something about poverty and help poor people. The other thing was, I think, he and those around him were scared over the riots. King died, and how explosive the situation can be in America. So they figured they had to do something about it. And I've heard unofficial reports that people have heard Johnson make statements about having to start giving these people something, these uppity Negroes, if you put it, who now have the political might to go in and vote and do something. How they could find a way to just give them a little something, and that would calm them down, that would ease their pain, make them feel better. And now the whole war on poverty is a joke. There's no war on poverty. We have more poverty than ever before. Everything you subsidize, you get more of. So the schools have to be bad. 50% of black kids dropping out of high school. That has to be a reality. 70% of black babies are born to teenage unwed mothers. That has to be a reality. To keep the whole system, the whole war on poverty in place. That's the new ball game. All those babies, and then, for those who don't want to raise children, here's the next thing. Planned Parenthood, baby. Since Roe v. Wade, 11 million black babies killed. Genocide. Democratic Party. And somehow, the one program that works 100% of the time, abstinence. Boy, you get ridiculed, you get run through the ringer. That's those Republicans again. It's talking about abstinence. We can't definitely got to shoot that down. We can't allow that to permeate and get into the psyche and the minds of people. Oh no, don't, because that works. If you just abstain, you're not going to get abstain. You're not going to get pregnant. But abstinence is a joke to Democrats. No, let's give out condoms. Let's teach them how to have sex the right way. As 7th graders and 8th graders. Let's take all the intrigue out of it and bring it into the classroom. Oh, by the way, we're going to kick the Bible out and kick God out. But we're going to bring sex, condoms, and drugs into the school. It's a good trade-off. The point is that the Democratic Party would not survive if they didn't have all of this going on. They make it very easy to create a welfare system for people to cheat and to easily get addicted to it. Where's the anti-welfare program? You would think that somebody would come along like a Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or Ben Chavez and say, you know what? I make several $100,000 a year. I'm rich. I'm going to show you how to get rich. Get off of welfare and get rich. When does that happen? I would think if someone truly loved you, we'd have some get rich programs, seminars, trying to show you how to uplift yourself. Not, here's an application, and here's how you file it. This is how you get your welfare bill. This is how you get your food stamp. This is how you get your Section 8. This is how you get your CHIP, S-CHIP, SNAP. This is how you get your disability, SSI. How do I get paid legitimately? How do I start a business? How do I get up out of this pit that you dug? Because I don't want to live in this and die in this mess. Where's that program? Where's that application? Where's that seminar at the Urban League or the NAACP? Speaking of the NAACP, this new Klan, their whole job now. I mean, every time I see them, they're, we're a civil rights organization, but your name, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Every colored person who's a Republican, you somehow criticize. Somehow you fought against Condoleezza Rice, called her all kind of names. Clarence Thomas, put him through the ringer. Somehow I'm not seeing where you supported one black Republican. Where's the advancement for those colored people? Oh no, well, we can only fight for the advancement of liberal colored people. Yeah, that's right. We should change our name. National Association for the Advancement of Liberal Colored People. Well, you know what, in NAACP, you may consider me a colored person. And maybe I am, I don't know. I'm a black. Black is a color, so I guess technically I am a colored person. But everyone's a colored person if that's the case, because no one's absent of any color. But I don't want you to waste your resources doing anything for me. Not that you're going to do it anyway, because not only am I a black Republican, I'm a conservative black Republican. That's even worse. So, but don't waste your time or resources to do anything for me. Use your monies and your resources to help the liberal folks out, because you know what? With you in their corner and that party of KKK, the party of slavery, the party of Jim Crow, the party of the Black Codes, the party of secession, the party that split a nation. As long as that party and you are in the corner for black people, God help them all. This has been JR. This is the final countdown. And I appreciate the opportunity to share a thought with you.